everyone, today we are here with using ChatGPT. This time it's for writing a story. So let's get started. So the goal for today was to create a story or some type of storyline that people won't realize it's been created by AI. And initially I was going to create into a short story, but I did change it to creating a story outline for a 12 episode love K-drama. So initially I created with the most simplest prompt where I asked to write a love story. And it gave me a long story, but I wasn't liking it because it just felt like a prompt instead of a story. So that's why I ended up asking ChatGPT into writing me a story outline to see how that would go. So the next long prompt that I used was, give me a storyline for a 12 episode K-drama about a love story between a guy intern named Chad working in an entertainment company and a group of 5 K-pop idol girls. The idols end up all falling in love with this guy intern, and he has to pick one of all 5. In between the episode, add in a plot twist, which will be revealed at the end of the episode. One thing I didn't like about this prompt was the fact that the moment I added in sentence of between the episode, add in a plot twist, I meant to say in the whole 12 episode K-drama, I wanted some type of crazy plot twist. For instance, the guy who fell in love with the girl ended up being the sister, like those crazy K-drama scenes. But what ChatGPT did was keep creating plot twists for every episode. So I ended up taking that part out. The second time I did it, and instead I wrote, there should be a plot twist that leads up to the intern's final decision on picking his favorite K-girl idol as a conclusion to the drama, hoping this would make more sense for ChatGPT to understand. Now, going through the story outline, I was pretty surprised, and I actually really enjoyed the first draft that ChatGPT created because it actually made sense and it did sound like a typical K-drama. For instance, the episode 1, the intern came, his name is Chad. He met with 5 girl idols with distinct personality, which is the most stereotypical K-drama personality you guys could ever think of, where they have the leader, the bubbly one, the mysterious artist, the cheerful optimist, and the shy genius. And what it ended up giving me in between the episode story outline was the key moments or the tension. So those two were what ChatGPT wanted to focus on to make that episode unique or special. So because I really liked the story, there wasn't much that I could tweak, or I couldn't think of anything to tweak with the storyline that they came out with. The next line, I wanted to finalize some of the character decision. Now, we already have the main protagonist that I already specified called Chad, who was the intern in a new entertainment company. But the 5 K-pop idols, we didn't specify. So I thought it would be nice for ChatGPT to learn if we had the 5. If ChatGPT knew about the personalities and the characteristics of the 5 K-pop idols. Luckily, all I had to put in was, let's start with adding in character details and personality profile for this story outline. Initially, I thought they would ask me to write in the personality for each character, but it did it on its own. So we have the main character, Chad, the intern. They gave me the background, the personality, and the internal conflict. And then comes the 5 K-pop girl idols. We have Sumin, Yuna, Haejin, Chiu, Eunji, and their personality along with how they are connected with Chad, because remember, this was going to be kind of like a harem story. This I wasn't expecting, but they did add in the supporting characters. For instance, we have Chad's mentor and the company founder who ended up being the antagonist. So I found that unique, and I could start elaborating on how I wanted to create a story using ChatGPT. By the way, I had to change Chad's name into Chad because it just kept feeling weird every time they mentioned Chad. So now that we got a overall picture, I wanted to add in some crazy background stories. For instance, normally if you guys watch K-dramas, they have the rich guy protagonist, and I was like, why don't we add that to our K-drama scene? So this is where I started doing the tweaking part, where I added in Chad's background saying he's actually from a wealthy family, but he wants to chase his dream of being a manager for K-pop idol. So he lives in a rooftop found in downtown Seoul. And for his internal conflict, be more specific on his past life of working for his dad. So the really stereotypical K-drama scene. And that kind of changed and updated this story and the storyline. So you can see that now the character detail is more thorough, and now ChatGPT got a thorough idea of what Chad should be and how he should be acting. And then I realized it just felt a little weird that it was like one guy and 5 girls, and I know that's what a lot of guys probably wanted, but I did have to add in the second potential male lead that had the opposite characteristics of Chad. So ChatGPT created this character called Minjun, and unlike Chad, he was from a humble origin, so he is from a modest family background. He worked hard, and they gave the personality and the internal conflict of the character. Now that I realized, I went back to the storyline and I realized that Minjun was not added to the storyline since we recently made him after creating the storyline. And then there wasn't actually a specific one male-female character that was going to end up with Chad, along with a second female lead who falls in love with Chad, but Chad doesn't pick her. So I added that to the storyline, and this kind of became my revised story outline, where we have the plot twist. Chad comes in, and remember, we educated ChatGPT into saying Chad is from a rich family, don't forget. So you can see that the first line starts right away with being the wealthy heir who rebelled against his predetermined future, started his internship at Dreambeat Entertainment with the dream of becoming a K-pop manager. But don't do this. And now that we got the personality along with the names of the K-pop idols, they started mentioning them in more details throughout the story outline. As you guys can see, they are introducing the idols. We meet the 5 idol, including the male-female lead named Sumin, who's the responsible leader from the personality, along with the second female lead, Yuna, the bubbly optimist. So then I read through the story outline that they gave me, and I did enjoy the conclusion where Sumin and Chad became together. They are being the lovers. But I was like, you know what? Why don't we put Yuna and Minjun together for some reason? You know, why don't the second leads always end up together? So I did that. And I also wanted the 3 idols to do something because they weren't being mentioned. And if we were to create a K-drama, we have to stall somehow for 1 hour, right? So I added to ChatGPT asking to connect Yuna and Minjun together in the last episode. So as you guys can see, they start elaborating more in details of how the story should go and became more of a K-drama type of story outline. So the last thing I had to do with this was, so after we got the story outline, I wanted to see how the script would be for the first episode. And so I just wrote, write me a shooting script for an hour-long first episode. And as you guys can see, they gave me something not in too detail, but an overall broad picture of how first episode should look like. Where we have what Chad would be saying, how he should be acting as if he should be more reflective and hopeful, what action she should be portraying in the script. So seemed like a legit script that we would see when someone is acting. They also have quite cheesy lines. Every step I take here feels like I'm craving out my own path. One where I'm not defined by my past, but by the dreams I choose to follow. So you know what? I really enjoyed the storyline. Of course, I could go elaborate and tweak more in detail if I knew more in depth of how to do script writing. But because I was completely new to it, I was pretty satisfied with the result that I got. If you ever want to do some changes, I would maybe change the tone and the mood to more of being mysterious. I went for more of the lovey-dovey. Or if you want chat to talk more, add in more lines, those would be some lines to add in if you wanted to make it longer. So I got everything. We got the first episode script. We got the story outline of what to be expecting for the next 11 episodes. I needed a title. So I asked for the title. They gave me kind of a cheesy one, Hearts in Harmony. I didn't really like it, didn't feel the catch. So we got different options. We got 5, and the 5 that they gave me was kind of reflecting on the story plot, which I really enjoyed. So I ended up choosing Melody of Hearts. And we asked the name in Korean, which just translated the name in Korean. So the Korean name ended up being 꿈의 멜로디, which means Melody of Dreams, but sounded kind of similar to Melody of Hearts, so I ended up choosing that one. So here are the key moments and the story outline that has been finalized. Now, one of my chat did ask me to add in a moment in the drama that we are creating where his rich dad interferes in his work life and tries to pull him back into their world. And I want them to interfere with his love life as well, where they did not like Sumin, the girl protagonist, for her job because she's a K-pop idol, but ends up accepting her because she becomes the dad's company model. You would think that it's somewhat very vague and concise, but what ChatGPT ended up doing is every episode they would include somehow about the dad interfering and telling him to come back to his work, and actually interfering with his work as well, where he would tell the company's founders and everyone that Chad isn't doing a good job. So ChatGPT does a really great job of naturally putting in a certain prompt that you want to be added into the storyline. Of course, one thing that was unfortunate was that there were moments where the story changed abruptly, and those need to be more melted, so carved out. But you can end up creating a really nice story outline if you are not as creative as maybe other people. So I'm not a very creative person, but you can become creative using ChatGPT. So this was my final version of my story outline for the K-drama. Episode 1 starts out as the new beginnings at Dreambeat. Dreambeat is the entertainment company. Episodes 2 is Melody of First Impression, and on. If you guys ever want to read this, it's in the description below, so definitely check it out. Last thing I did that was pretty interesting was I wanted to see if ChatGPT could recommend me good actors for each character. Because remember, since we created this into a K-drama, I needed actors. So I gave them the prompt, can you recommend me a Korean actor for Chad? And you know what? I actually really enjoyed the actor decision that they gave me. So I picked with the alternative Lee Jong-seok. I really liked him because he gave the slightly edgier, more charismatic portrayal of the character instead of Park Bo-gum. So I really like that part. But in terms of Sumin and the other characters, it didn't really make sense for me, and the image that I wanted it to go for wasn't as good as I thought. So I did have to do a lot of tweaking and peeking, but it seemed like they ended up giving more of who is the most popular K actresses out there instead of maybe looking for more of the looks and image. Though there were some actors and actresses that they would recommend because they were in past dramas with Lee Jong-seok, who was the candidate for Chad. So that did make sense, but I didn't like the final decision. However, we got all the actors and actresses for our new drama. So conclusion and tip on writing a really cool story for using ChatGPT. Work in step. Ask ChatGPT to write a story outline for a certain prompt that you wanted to create, and then work on the character backgrounds, such as the names, personality, profile, even the height. So anything you could get specific about the characters, that would help ChatGPT create it into a more thorough story, and then generate it into a full story that would match your taste. 2. If you can't think of multiple ideas for certain scenes, or if you want some type of plot twist but you just don't know what to do, I would ask ChatGPT to brainstorm it for you and then use that and ask it to merge it into the story that's been created. Because one thing that ChatGPT does a really great job is that it naturally puts it into the story. There are some times when it does feel rough, but if you ask it to change that rough part, or if you wanted to maybe take it out, it seems more natural than doing it abrupt. Kind of going along with tip 2, but tip 3 is the more details you have with the prompts, the better story ChatGPT will give. This is kind of self-explanatory because anything you give more in detail, you get a better outcome, right? But even just including the names, their personalities, or everything that you want this character to have will generate a really good story for ChatGPT. 4, if you can't think of the details though, I did mention having more details. It's actually okay. You just start out with a simple prompt and you can think on the way and tweak it along the way. As you guys can see, how I did it was I had a very simple plot of 5 K-pop girl idol group fall in love with an intern. And then we were able to add in some details such as actually the intern was from a wealthy family, or that the K-pop girl group was very outgoing. Also, it's easier to add in new characters or take the characters out or give more scenes to a certain characters using ChatGPT. So this was all for today. I hope you guys